Hey everyone, I'm Jill with Whispering Willow Farm, and today I'm going to show you how I harvest my tulips with bulbs intact and store them in the refrigerator. I'm then going to be pulling from these tulips for weeks and weeks to come to make deliveries, so I wanted to share with you guys how easy this process is, especially if you're wanting to grow a bunch of tulips at once and then pull from them to make different arrangements and deliveries or maybe different events. So here are my tulips. We have been harvesting from them for a couple weeks now, so I'm also going to do a part 2 to this and show you guys reviving those, what they look like. But there are a few things to be mindful of. First of all, when you harvest is going to make a huge difference in how long they're actually going to last and what they're going to look like when you revive them. So ideally, I am harvesting my tulips when it is early in the morning, later in the evening, or today it is a rainy, cloudy day. If you come out here to harvest your tulips in the middle of the day, they're going to be completely open, and you really just don't want that as far as longevity for storage. So I like to do this early in the morning. And you can see here that my tulips here, they've got nice color. They haven't fully opened, but they've cracked open a bit. As to where these are fully closed, this one's even pretty closed, and then these are starting to open. This is when I am going to harvest these because I have found this is where I have the longest shelf life in the cooler. And so essentially what I'm going to do is just go down, I'm going to harvest it by the bulb, and I'm going to keep the bulb just intact like this. So now I'm going to go show you guys what this looks like when I harvest a bunch of them, how I store them, and then we will do part 2 on how we revive them. Alright, so once I harvest my tulips, you can use craft paper, you can use newspaper, whatever you have. I have pre-made bouquet sleeves, and just because that's all that I had, I actually just ripped mine open. But you are going to need some sort of paper for this, alright? So you guys can see here I have my crates. This is just an example to show you. These all actually came from the cooler. But essentially what you're going to do is you're going to take these. The reason that you really want the bulb intact is because it's still growing. This is still the life for this. So really when the vase life starts to take place is when I snip this bulb off. But as long as I keep these wrapped in this paper, in a cooler, no water, anything like that, it's going to stay alive. It will not be until I get ready to make my arrangements and snip the bulb off that I will need to put them in water, and that's when we can start testing the vase life. And so I don't typically stack a whole lot in here because I want to be able to wrap this pretty tight just to make sure that the tulips stay intact and stay pretty uniform. Alright, so I have laid my tulips here. The bulb is at the outside. I'm being mindful of how many I'm putting in here because I just want it to be able to close with ease. So I'm stacking a few, trying to make sure we have similar lengths. I am tightly wrapping. You could tape it at this point. Since I am making do with the materials I have, I'm wrapping, turning that over this way, and then wrapping the actual blooms. And this is really just so these stay protected in the cooler. Now you could then lay them flat like I have over here if you have a refrigerator that is long enough. Or I'm going to show you another method that we're doing just to ensure that our stems stay a bit straighter. Alright, so now you guys can see I've got mine wrapped. Our refrigerator that we are storing these in, or I'm going to show you guys a cooler in a minute, is on 35 to 36, 37 degrees. The idea is you want to keep them chilled. As long as they're chilled, their blooms are going to stay closed. It won't actually be until you wake them back up that they'll start opening back up, which will be several days. So you can, like I said, lay them flat. However, I've tried this method, and at this point I prefer laying them upright just for the integrity of the stems and the petals. So I'm going to share with you guys what that looks like. So we just have a rusty old deep freeze that we have bought off of an online marketplace, and we have converted it into a cooler. This will not be able to stay in my high tunnel throughout the summer. It'll be too hot, but right now it's super cool still, and so this works great instead of me having to go back and forth. And you guys can see here I have got these really tall buckets, so I'm able to stick these tulips in here and I can bunch them together pretty close. And then everything's staying upright, and it's just going to make it easier, and I can also fit multiple buckets in here. We will then pull from these and start to make our arrangements as we need them. So again, these will stay in here. We have a 4-week tulip subscription. We ideally are harvesting our tulips within about a week and a half for the entire 4 to 6 week subscription. These will stay just fine. We are obviously pulling from the first tulips that we harvested for that first week subscription, but we harvested tulips about a week and a half before our subscription started, and I sent those out the door today. You guys can see what they look like. They look great. So if you want to know how to harvest your tulips with bulbs intact and store them, this is how I'm doing it. It really is this simple. Again, no water in the bucket. Make sure you keep the bulbs intact. And if you want to learn about part 2 of how to revive these to get ready to make arrangements, check out the video coming up next. Thanks for hanging out. I'll talk to you soon.